Oh, hi there. You know, I figured that since I saw myself as a pretty big Generation 4 Pokemon fan that I would have made a specific video for it by this point. Surprisingly, no. Let me fix that. Have you ever wanted to go back to 2007 and play a mainline series Pokemon game on the Nintendo DS? Well, have I got a hard transition for you. Pokemon Generation 4, or better known as Diamond, Pearl, or Platinum, was Pokemon's mainline jump to the 7th generation of consoles. Was it a good one? I mean, yeah, I'd say so. It was more of the Pokemon that you knew and loved beforehand. But hey, just take that and make it better. Well, for the most part, pretty much everything the average person would care about in a Pokemon game is better here. The stuff like the battling, catching, music, environments, music, multiplayer, music. The jump between generations always tends to be a big one, but I think Generation 4 was the best one by that point. Come to think of it, this generation marked my first experiences ever with a Pokemon as a franchise, so yeah, there's going to be bias. And not even Diamond and Pearl. I started with Platinum. Some may say that I was living under a rock my entire life before that point, and I would agree. Looking back on it all, these games were really a big part of shaping me into the person I am today. The 4th generation of Pokemon. By this time, most of the hubbub about Pokemon had been dying down from the after effects of the first 3 generations, as far as I'm aware anyways. Somehow though, after the 4th generation had released, interest in Pokemon had quickly skyrocketed again. I'm assuming that's got something to do with the ability to battle and trade online. Yes, no more of those dinky link cables and the time and place to meet up in person. Now you can just sit your lazy down and do it through the internet. Don't you love it when Nintendo was proactively promoting being active and lazy all in the same era? It does make sense why they did it though. With Pokemon having become such an international thing by that point, it would be so annoying to carry around your console, the game, and the link cable to connect to one other console. By now, wireless communications were the norm, so there was really no need to go back to the archaic link cable methods originally made during the 90s. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl announced at a Nintendo press conference in the last quarter of 2004, with director Junichi Masuda saying that the goal of these new games was to make the ultimate Pokemon version. Though it was initially supposed to be released in Japan by 2005, the developers were still working on the aspects of the game, which delayed it to 2006, which they then released on September 28, 2006 in Japan, April 22, 2007 in North America, June 21st for Australia, and July 27th for Europe. Platinum isn't too much different to warrant that much time on it. It was an enhanced version, because the base game was already there in Diamond and Pearl. It was released about 2 years after the originals, September 13th, 2008 in Japan, March 22nd, 2009 in North America, then May 14th and May 22nd, 2009 in Australia and Europe respectively. As a bonus, those who pre-ordered Platinum in North America got a Giratina figurine from Nintendo. Going back to it, the biggest selling point for the 4th generation was the ability to connect internationally, and get your Pokemon fixed that way. Now, I was never fully there to see all of it happen, but I can imagine it was a great time. Especially if you were there from the Gen 1 days, being able to connect to other players' games and beat them silly with your Pokemon, or trading between your 2 copies in hopes of completing the Pokedex. And now, you could do all of it on a global scale. That had to have been amazing. Alright, now we're done with the things that people have friends care about. Let's get into the good stuff for everyone else. Before the 4th generation, there was always physical and special attack. And by Gen 2, physical defense and special defense, but they'd be stuck to Pokemon types. Are you still with me here? Because for the uninitiated, that meant if you had fire type moves, they would all be coming from that special attack stat. Normal? Always physical attack. Dark? All of them are special. As you can probably assume, if a Pokemon didn't have the correct typing, their usefulness in offense comes to a screeching halt. Take for example, Sneasel. Sneasel's stats tell it to be a physical attacker, but its type just say fuck you, you're born to forever be a disappointment. But hey, guess what Gen 4 did? Now whether a move was physical or special was based on specific moves and not entire typings. That ultimately opened up your options when picking what Pokemon you wanted to take into your next gym battle or something. Diamond and Pearl added that extra depth in the world that just wasn't as obvious as before. Sure, the 3rd gen tried, but this is where it's immediately obvious that there is foreground and background, or high and low, when it comes to these different landscapes. Best of all, you don't have to be confused about whether the main male character has a hat or white hair. I know I'm not the only one on that. If you say you always knew it was a hat, you are lying straight out of your ass. Instead of having to imagine how something was meant to be portrayed, you could just see it outright, which was like magic to me. Battle Frontier is back. And apparently no Pokemon game is real unless it's got an infinite battle system. You know, from what I see, people don't really care that much about the feature, but from the few people that do, they are really loud. Although compared to the one in Emerald, Diamond and Pearls was severely watered down. The battle park in Diamond and Pearl only featured the generic single battle survival system. You know, the one where you keep going as long as you keep winning, with 3 of your Pokemon in your arsenal. Granted, when you boil it down, that's the basic structure of Battle Frontier as a whole, but that's not the problem. The problem was, that was all it was in Diamond and Pearl. Just build that streak. That's it. And you wonder why people couldn't live without it after it was introduced in Emerald. Now what am I gonna direct my give a shit thoughts to? Game Freak, you have to give me a reason to give a shit! Thankfully, they fixed it in Platinum, and made the Battle Frontier as it should be. Different rules and mechanics depending on the building you step into. And I gotta say, I never touch it at all. So now that we've covered what the game's got for your eyes and fingers, now the only big things left is your ears. In every mainline game before, the music was alright. In this game, it is an experience. You've been hearing it this entire video. Can you really say with a straight face that this game doesn't have top 5 Pokemon game soundtracks? Every piece is just so damn good. The route themes, towns, cities, character, battle themes, they're all just so damn good. Every mainline series game by this point had its own instrument. That's why Hoenn was known as Trumpet Purgatory. What's Sinnoh instrument? The piano. The literal best they could have chosen. There's just something about the DS sound font too that is just so nice on the ears. It's incredible. Time for the obligatory mention. Holy shit, it's Jubilife City! This theme is just so great. Not only is it just a great track overall, it's also the theme of a city that's basically the center of every player's early game. Enough about that though. I haven't talked about the plot so far because, like in almost every Pokemon game, that doesn't take more than 2 sentences to cover. But hey, we got nothing better to do, so let's just dive into it. This criminal organization has been plotting towards the eventual goal of recreating the universe because their boss hates the current world, and that's the story of Generation 4 Pokemon. Overall, not much more to it compared to older generations, but definitely on a wider scale given the myths of the Sinnoh region. Enter Dialga and Palkia, essentially the gods of time and space respectively, not to mention Arceus, who is the literal creator of all Pokemon. Period. That opened up the possibilities to the plot and eventual creation of Legends Arceus, a game solely based on the history of the Sinnoh region and giving further context into why Sinnoh is the way it is come Diamond and Pearl. That was really cool, and something that Game Freak should keep doing. What's left? Oh yeah! The new Pokemon! I've gotta say, if there's only one person left to defend Generation 4, and I'm that only person left, I will still defend it. These new Pokemon though, kinda suck. Don't get me wrong, there's substance here, but about half of it is just not that great. I mean, who wakes up in the morning, ready to play these games, and goes, sure, would love a Perigly on the team? No one does that. A good amount of these I wouldn't even call new Pokemon since they're evolutions or pre-evolutions of older Pokemon. Not saying that they're the worst, but they just don't feel new. And I don't know why they started doing this, but the last 14 Pokemon in the regional Pokédex introduced in this generation are all legendary or mythical Pokemon. For crying out loud, why do you need that many? This was admittedly a problem with Generation 3 as well, but it is just so much more obvious here. There's just no reason for it. Especially Fiona. It is literally a worse Glalie. I mean, look at it! It would actually mean something if Fiona could actually evolve into Manaphy. But no, it just chose to be useless that way. What was I talking about again? Oh right, the Dex. Yeah, it's got Garchomp and Lucario. I'm fine with it. Now, for as much praise as I've given it, there's never been a perfect game ever. So let's get into the dumb shit that Game Freak did this time. Your choices of Fire-type Pokemon. non-existent. If you didn't pick Chimchar as your starter, the only other options before your post-game were Ponyta and Rapidash. Sucks to suck, especially since Fire-type Pokemon are so good in this game. This damn fog! It makes your moves 50% less likely to hit their mark. So, if none of your Pokemon have moves that never miss, or the move Defog itself, good luck trying to hit anything. This f***ing surfing speed. They got it right in the 3rd generation, so why did it have to be the same as walking speed in this game? Sure, this was fixed in Platinum, but making it like this in Diamond and Pearl is basically what getting the bike in Generations 1 and 2 felt like. And for God's sake, do something about that f***ing HP bar!